So we've arrived here to collect Taylor, take him to the Southampton hospital. Taylor's just getting ready somewhere. Here he is. Here's the boy. First pair of jeans in a couple of months. Looking good, honey. I think one goes high up. Do you want me to tie it for you?
Yeah, I've got it.
Put it above your ears. Oh, it's David calling. Just a second.
Hello! Today we are leaving Poole Hospital. Yeah! I've got my mask on to protect me from the poisonous air outside. Got my jacket to keep me warm because I don't know what cold feels like. Got my hat to keep the old skull cap warm. And we're ready to go. Yes, sirree. Here's the door that we will be exiting through. Here's the second door. Let's wait for the first one to shut. Airlock style.
Turn right, Taylor.
Oh, hello.
Here on the left is where the lifts that they put me in when they take me for x-rays. Are we taking these? Where do we go?
No, we'll go upstairs, hun.
Okay.
Hi today. Go out to the right.
It's freaking cold. Let's go back inside.
That's it. Go over to that, yeah.
No, not really.
At least it's sunny.
Cold. Cold. Yeah. It's cold. I don't like it.
It's really cold.
It's freezing. I think it's 2 degrees.
It's like some kind of ninja warrior,
I know.
like a samurai.
I thought I looked like the survivor of some bio chemical war. I'm here, out here with my mask on. Yeah, I do look like a bit of a showgun. Thanks.
You can sit in the front if you like.
I will. Hello. Just getting back from Southampton about 15 minutes ago. It was nice getting out of the hospital, feeling the wind and the cold, and you know, just seeing outside again instead of looking out this window constantly. That was nice. So I'll just sort of jump straight to why we were there. That was to talk about like the bone marrow transplant and things like that. So in Southampton Hospital, that's where they have the transplant clinic, and so that's where I'll be going when it's time to have my bone marrow transplant. Basically, what we've been told is I'm going to have another bone marrow biopsy on Monday. If the results from that are good, and there is, you know, pretty much no leukemia left in my body, then I'll be in remission, and I'll probably have one more lot of chemo to sort of keep it down. I might be allowed to go home before that though. But if the results from this biopsy aren't so good, and the leukemia has been more stubborn than we would have hoped, then we may have to try another sort of chemotherapy. I forget the name of it because it's sciencey and all that, but it's apparently quite toxic, so I might have to go to Southampton to have that, where they're more used to using it, I suppose. So either way, I've got more chemo to go through. So let's say it goes well and I'm in remission. At that point, they'll start prepping in Southampton for a transplant for me, so they'll be getting things like the right donors and stuff like that, making sure there's a place for me to stay in the transplant ward, and then I'll be able to go home for like a week or two. But I'll just need to keep being careful, even though I will have an immune system again. I'll have to try and make sure I don't catch anything while I'm back at home. So I just sort of try to avoid anyone that I know has got, colds and things like that. But then I'll be over in Southampton, where I will then start a conditioning period, which is about, I think this is something like 4 to 6 weeks, and that is the conditioning period. It's like what I've had with chemo, but worse by the sound of it. So I'll be on pretty rough chemo and radiotherapy, and when I mean rough, I mean if the same treatment was done on an older person, it could kill them. It's that toxic. And the idea there is that it's pummeling my bone marrow that much that it doesn't grow back, it just frees it up, basically, to have someone else's bone marrow, which will then hopefully seed itself in my body and become my new immune system, basically. And we spoke a lot with the doctor. He had to tell us, of course, about risks and things associated with the process. And in all honesty, one of those risks is death. Be that a low chance, it's still a risk that they have to tell us about. Other things include the donor's bone marrow attacking my healthy organs, things like that. All of this is just odds and things that they have to tell us. It doesn't necessarily mean that any of these things are going to happen. Given my age and physical fitness and things like that, I do have very good odds that I'll be fine. And I think it's important that, myself and everyone else remembers that. I should be fine. But there will be, that's not the end of the road yet. After the transplant is when the hardest part is, some may say. Some may say the whole conditioning is the hard part, but there is a long road ahead, and after the transplant, the whole year following that, I'll have to be very careful. So the first few weeks I'll probably be staying at Southampton Hospital whilst the new bone marrow does its thing and sort of embeds itself in my bone marrow and hopefully, catches on. From there, I'll probably be feeling pretty rough for a while, and then when I'm allowed to go home eventually, I'll have to keep going to the hospital maybe 2 times a week so that they can see how I'm doing, making sure it's not coming back. So I'll have to keep doing that for a while, and then it'll go down to once a week, then maybe once a month, and then eventually in time I'll only have to keep going back once a year, but that will continue probably for the rest of my life, which isn't something I'm worried about. Southampton's a nice place. I can visit IKEA while I'm there, get some meatballs, get a bit of shopping done. That's no bother, but I will have to be very careful in this first year, so that means no uni, no work, so I won't be allowed to do either of those. Going out to town every weekend might be something I'll have to consider maybe doing less of. Naturally, I'm not going to just not go out. What kind of life would that be? But I'll definitely have to make sure I've got my paracetamol or whatever handy, because it is quite important in this first year that I don't catch anything. I will have an immune system, but it won't be very good for me if I keep getting colds and things like that. I assume anything like that would just increase the risk of leukemia coming back. But that's what all these checks are for, just to make sure it doesn't. To say what it is, I think the meeting today was pretty positive. I realise that all these risks he has to tell us is just something he has to say, just because it can happen, but the chances of those are very slim. And, whatever they have to throw at me, I will take it with a smile and do whatever needs to be done to make me well again. Get my normal life back. So that's where we're at. I realised that the follow-up to the transplant's not going to be particularly pleasant, but got to be done. And as far as donors go, they said they've found 2 potential donors already. They haven't checked blood or anything like that yet. But tissue-wise, these 2 people are matches, and the risk of donor versus graft disease and all these complications like that are very slim now compared to what they were 30 years ago, because the tissue sampling they do is on a DNA level. That's how accurate they can be now. So we should be good in the way of me or my body having a bad reaction to the bone marrow I'll be given. So that's another positive to take away. But if these two people that they've got aren't the right blood type or whatever, then, you know, you can just get some more people in easily enough. There's a good chance that I'll have a donor, being from sort of North Europe. But yeah. It's been nice to get out of the hospital though. Just breathe some fresh air. See some different faces. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get home and see my dog. So, you know, even though home was just 10 minutes away, it may have been a million miles. Because still not allowed back yet. But my neutrophils were at 0.1 today, I think, so they are coming back. When they reach 0.5, I'll be able to sort of walk around a bit, and then hopefully you can start thinking about letting me leave for a bit. But that's how today went. There may be another video between now and Monday when I have my bone marrow biopsy. May not. We'll see. But yeah. Still keeping on in there.